We have how much time?
Hey guys, it's Coach KJ and Dr. Felicia. We're here today and we've got another episode. Something really, really big happened this week. Governor Gavin Newsom in California banned something, and we'll talk about it in a second. But first of all, before we do any of that, before we talk about what's new with the whole um dietary nutritional stuff, which Dr. Felicia is a pro at, what I want to do is I want to talk about the physical aspect of it because Dr. Felicia did something big this week. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good, good. What happened this week?
So this week I began my running season, and so I did a 15K, which is 9.34 miles in Georgia. So Georgia is actually maybe the fourth state. Some people, what's big sometimes with runners is they like to go from state to state to state. So this is my fourth state. I usually do all my running in North Carolina and South Carolina, but this was my first time running this road race. It was really nice. The weather was nice. And my sister, she turned 60. And so this was her first road race. And guess what place she got?
What?
Second. She got second place.
What?
First race, 60, second place. And we were jumping up and screaming. It was wonderful. She knocked it out of the park. We weren't even thinking, well, was not running for time or place, but they gave places to age groups. So she would have been in 60 to 65, I believe. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
so look, all my work with her has been, I've been saying, come on, we need to do a race. Let's do let's do a 3 mile, which is a 5K. And so I've been asking her for a couple of years. And so she finally jumped off the mountain and decided to do it. So we had a great, great, great weekend. But this gets me rolling for my season of running. Usually when it gets cool is when I typically will do races, just so you don't have to worry about dehydration and some of those other things when it's hot. But yeah, I'm ready to go. And hopefully by March, we'll see if we can get ourselves to that first marathon. So I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know how that goes. But 9 miles to 26 is a big gap. So we'll see how that goes.
Look, girl, I'm still working on the 0.23, 0.23K.
Oh, you are funny, funny. But yes, it was. It
Because
it.
I
What
love
I will say,
running.
running and walking are two of the best um, exercises you can do. Doesn't matter how fast, you're moving, and you want to move, especially full body movement if you're trying to lose weight. So running is great because you're doing full body moving, and most people don't know the best way that we lose weight is through our breath. So the more exercises, more aerobic, but I don't want to recommend to people to go out and, do some full blown, cardio without some easing into it. But and walking are great ways to get started. And not long. You don't have to run very long, mile a day. And that could be to the end of the driveway and back, you know. So think about that. That would be a great, great way to kind of get some movement, and it's cooler and your body will warm up really good. And if you're trying to lose weight, a great way to do it.
And wait, you said we lose weight through our breath?
Yes, yes. We
So if
have
somebody
to.
has rough breath, does that mean they're losing a lot of weight?
No,
No.
no. The science of it is fascinating because in one of my classes we were talking about, weight loss, and we're talking about obesity in the African American community. And I was trying to find a way for them to see, from, regular weight to obese, morbidly obese, and then, people who are kind of off of the radar and may need, surgery and other things. But anyway, the chemistry of it is fascinating. That one of my students said, well, if someone loses, if they're, like what's the show, my 600-pound life. Someone like that loses weight. Well, we know you see the skin, but they ask, well, the weight that was in the skin, how's it dissipating? Are they, going to the bathroom? No, it's coming out of your breath. So as you breathe, the fat that's there under that skin is going to come out through your breath.
Wait,
It's
wait,
fascinating.
hold on for a second. Hold on for a second.
Isn't
I'm
that amazing?
gonna be a
It
size 6
is
next year.
amazing. It's amazing. There's a wonderful video. We can put maybe the video link um, so that viewers can see it. But there's a wonderful video where the scientist that we were talking about, he shows how that happens. So if we're breathing, how the weight dissipates. It's amazing. But yeah, it's your breathing. The breathing helps to get rid of excess, fat. It's breathing and not surgery. If people are talking about that way. Use your breath. Breath is better, and they'll stay off quicker.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, you know what? We also know that exercise gives us the opportunity to excrete certain toxins from our body.
Yes.
And one of the things that happened this past week is Governor Newsom in California passed a ban on the production, distribution, manufacturing of red dye 3 or red 3. It said like red 3 dye, not red dye 3.
Right.
And going for other dyes, 40 red dye for others. But the point was that this has already been banned in the European Union. It has been banned from cosmetics since 1990.
Mm-hmm.
It has carcinogenic properties. That means it has the opportunity to enhance someone's ability to have cancer. It can impact hyperactivity, and it can impact neuroinflammation. So there's several different components to this. Still yet, California is the only state that has banned it. It is still available, and it's available in many products. Can you list some of the products that it's available in?
So if we look at many of the products, and what is still amazing is products. It's many of these products are products, of course, that people may be given to their children. So chewing, things like chewing gum, things like um, rice, things like, of course, candies. So you can look at things like M&Ms, candy bars, Skittles, the little crawler gummies, ice cream, donut ice cream. That's one of the ones on our list. We know it's in certain kind of drinks. So if you look at things like, and I know people who exercise and need electrolyte support for years have used Gatorade, but you got red Gatorade, blue Gatorade, orange Gatorade. All of those have those unnatural color, red dye, blue dye, or whatever color dye to give us the way that it looks. One of the ones on your list, I believe, is they use a purple dye to make the marshmallows look whiter. Did you know that?
Are you talking
I
about the
wasn't. Yeah, I was not aware that, and I love marshmallows, but I didn't know they put purple dye in the marshmallows to make them look whiter. So, and again, we have listed here some different kind of waters. Again, we know heavily in the electrolyte families that people use, and there were some people in the race that we had this past Saturday that had the Gatorades and um, Under Armour and some of that support, because it does have electrolyte support, but it also has those dyes, and those dyes are going to have all kinds of effects on how your body will process those, unnatural supplements inside the liquid that's going in our bodies. So it's interesting to me that only California, but European countries for years now have been banning these dyes in our food or in their foods because they know they can, cause all kind of health issues. You mentioned attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And what's interesting is if we look at what the FDA says and some of the other research, we're not seeing any research where they are documenting conclusive cause and effect. What that means then is they can list those ingredients on the back of our foods and liquids, but they don't have to take those ingredients out because the FDA has not banned them. And I know
And
we're looking at.
there's two different laws. So there's the FDA law and then there's the manufacturing law. And I think the manufacturing law is GRAS. So
Yes,
even though the FDA may not approve it, the manufacturer may be able to say it's still needed. So if it's a manufactured product, they still can support it. And the thing is, as you said, there's a suggested link, but there's not a definitive link. So with cosmetics, they were able to tell immediately with the rodents. So once they were able to, do lab
right.
rodents, they said, okay, now we have to ban this particular dye, which confuses me as to why something topical would be more urgent than something that is ingested.
It it and again, and I know some of it, of course, has to do with the industry and maybe the cosmetic industry. I know some of the things that I've been looking at, just looking for a clean deodorant, because the traditional deodorants we have has what in it? Has aluminum. Who knew? Aluminum to keep you from perspiring, but your body's natural process is to perspire, especially if you're exercising. So some of that may be just because we are now beginning to see the cosmetic industry to eliminate, some of the toxic ingredients in a way that might not be, detrimental to the bottom line. The food industry, we can have long conversations about the FDA and what's in our foods. So you have dyes and sugars to me are those things that make the food taste good. And the dyes actually, of course, make the food look good. I'm a visual eater like many people. So the way something looks affects whether or not I'm going to eat it or like it. And so, researchers who help to create the foods that we eat, they know many of us are visual eaters. So we want things to look good for us to eat them. If you strip away some of the colors and some of the other ingredients, the taste is going to be changed and the way, bread looks. If
Well,
you
well, the,
strip down.
well, two things. The thing is, I get stripping that away, but guess what? They've been doing it in the European Union for quite some
Oh
time.
yeah.
So if they've already been able to do it, but I've heard things about the food in Europe too. So, you know,
Mm,
that it has a very, very different taste than what, the American palate may be used to. But the bottom line is it's already been done, it's already been successful. I wonder if a part of the caveat is that what you ingest as far as dyes is supposed to be excreted from your system within 24 to 48 hours. So with
right.
the FDA might be able to say, hey, with cosmetic, wearing it all day long, because they're wearing it all day long, that has a greater chance of causing cancer or, causing cancer or exacerbating cancerous cells. Whereas when you're looking at something such as something that is ingested, well, they ingest it and it's out of the system for 24 to 48 hours, but we're not looking at the frequency. So if you're ingesting red dye 3 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if you're ingesting it, a massive, if you're eating three bowls of Fruit Loops, or if you're eating 2 bags of gummy bears or whatever it may be, we're not looking at the totality of it and then how much longer it may take to excrete out of your system. When I was in
Right.
DC, I met a young lady from Poland. She was a Polish doctor, and I was telling her that I have lactose intolerance and wheat intolerance. So it doesn't mean that I'm quote unquote allergic. It just means that, well, I don't know if it means allergic, but when I eat it, my skin turns red and hot.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, I become a red hot mama. So, so what she was saying is when you eat that food, like some people say, well, I eat a little bit today and a little bit tomorrow and a little bit the next day and a little bit the next day. She said, no, eat all of it. Like if you want cheese, go on a full day cheese fest, cheese on bread, cheese on cheese, cheese on whatever you can find it. She said, but then after that, for 6 weeks, fast, because it's going to take 6 weeks to cleanse that cheese out of your body. So what she's
Wow.
saying is we shouldn't do, a little bit each day. We should have like, those fasts where we just kind of not fast, don't eat, fast, like get all that you want. So with that
Right.
being, yeah. So with that being said, there are some things that can be used to replace red dye and make it safer for individuals. What are some of the things that you have that are listed or that you can think of?
So, and well, the difficulty here, of course, is we're replacing um, replacing something, that's not good. So that's the kind of first difficulty I think um, it is the food industry trying to figure out then if you're going to take out, something that's going to make it more appealing, how do you know, replace that?
I
Um,
got it.
hmm?
I'm sorry, I got it. Some of them were
Okay, great.
beet juice, hibiscus Anna, I don't know what that is, cherries, boiled cranberries, pomegranate juice, strawberries, and red freeze dried fruits. So
The
those,
hibiscus is fantastic
what
because
is it?
it. So I drink it in the mornings, not every morning, but it's a little bit bitter, but not bitter that you can't have. But it has natural red dye in it, just like pomegranates, just like beets. Um, the the issue then I know food industry is how do you make an M&M with beet dye taste the same as what an M&M tastes like. So we know it's going to have a different impact on the taste. Maybe cherries might do a little bit better, but the the taste factor, which is paramount, for the food industry, um, the replacement options are difficult.
Remember
Um,
the maraschino cherries and the red
oh
pistachio
yes,
nuts?
yes,
Your hands, when you eat the red pistachio nuts, your hands were red.
yes. Oh yeah, off of my favorite way to eat them was on what is it? A banana split where you had the banana and the whipped cream and the cherry. I mean, and the chocolate and the peanut sprinkles, and then they would put those cherries on top. And yes, but it had dye in it, and those have one of the highest levels of the red dyes in them. So but in the case of those cherries, if you just use a regular, organic cherry, it's going to have the same taste. It might not be quite as red as those cherries. It's going to be more of a darker red, but
Yes.
nonetheless, it's going to still. Cherries are so good for us in terms of immune health. I mean, they really help. They help with uh, for some people, they help with blood pressure. So the, beyond, just a substitution, they really do provide, some great health benefits. But I can only imagine the chemist, at the M&M factory and having somebody taste test something, where that coloring has been substituted in a way to be more healthy. I'd be interested to see what that would even look like.
And how you gonna get the red Kool-Aid?
I love red Kool-Aid. I do have um for grape Kool-Aid because I love grape Kool-Aid. Guess what the substitute? I do have a substitute. I didn't think about this earlier. but there's a substitute for grape Kool-Aid. You know
What?
what it is?
What?
It is red cabbage, even though the cabbage is what color? Purple. They call it red cabbage. I made some red cabbage. I put red cabbage, pear, and I think I put pineapple. No, no pineapple. Oh yes, I did. Red cabbage, pear, pineapple, and one other fruit, strawberries. And if you looked in my refrigerator, you would have thought it was grape Kool-Aid. It looked exactly like grape Kool-Aid. Now, of course, it didn't quite taste sweet and all of that, but
Add
but the
sugar.
but the combination. So my sister Tanya, she tasted it and loved it and said she could tell it was cabbage a little bit, but the taste of it, because you had pear and strawberry and pineapple, you had the sweet stuff. It was sweet enough. But that's one substitute you can do for grape Kool-Aid is the red cabbage. Yeah, and it juice when you juice it, it it's purple. It looks purple. The other example of a substitute is dragon fruit. So for red cherry Kool-Aid, you can
Mhm.
use dragon fruit. And then again, I put kind of pineapple in everything because it's got a sweet taste, but not too sweet. You can also use the red grapes with the dragon fruit, but the dragon fruit looks red as well. So those are two, ways if you still a Kool-Aid drinker, that's natural. It's not going to hurt you. And you don't have to put, regular cane sugar or anything in it at all. But
No sugar?
no sugar. No, you won't need it because if you do the dragon fruit, pears are super sweet.
Yeah.
So you do pears, pineapple. I would do probably red grapes because they are not quite as tart as green grapes.
Hmm.
Um, and then use your dragon fruit, and it looks like red Kool Aid.
So now you've been
Might
talking
not
about
taste
dragon fruit over and
exact.
over again. Where do you
Hmm.
get dragon fruit?
So you can get dragon fruit in the grocery store. Most grocery stores have dragon fruit. The dragon fruit, because the exterior looks like the back of a dragon, that hence the name dragon fruit. But most you can get it from any grocery store. You can get it from Publix. You can
Are
get
they
it from
green?
Whole Foods. Hmm?
Are they green on the outside?
They are, and when you cut the inside, it's red.
I know exactly what I look. I didn't know how to fix them. I've seen them over
Yeah.
and over again. Yeah, it's like oblong. It's like oval.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yep. So you can do your dragon fruit. You can also, some people will do dragon fruit. If they do a smoothie, they'll do dragon fruit with strawberries, bananas, and then you can pick one of the. I wouldn't, if you're doing a smoothie, well, you can actually use pineapple too because it'll give it a different citrusy taste to your smoothie. But if you add a banana, you're gonna get more of a smoothie. But those are some quick, easy substitutes. I don't have a substitute for Fruit Loops. Um, I don't know how to substitute Fruit Loops just because of the way that they're made. They're made with so many ingredients and, of course, the dyes. I don't have a substitute for Fruit Loops.
You know what blew me away? So when I was looking at the list of things that have the red dye in it, and it was specifically said red dye 3, not yellow, not blue,
No, red
red
dye
dye
3.
3. Chex. I think it was like cheddar popcorn or something like that. I was like,
Yes,
what? Then it was like yellow
Doritos.
or not red.
No, no, Doritos, the blue bag and the red bag, and we have Doritos at home. I'm trying to I've actually found a substitute for the red and the blue Doritos is Siete, Siete, and you can get it in the grocery stores. You can get it in Target. Is a great substitute for the red and the blue pack Doritos that's got the red dye in them too to make them have that kind of uh, Tostito type taste. But Siete chips are better,
So
and
and
they don't have any dyes.
you said Siete chips are at you said you can get them at Whole Foods, or did you say you can get them at like
Get
Harris?
them at you can get them at Whole Foods. Publix, Target, online, or Walmart sometimes keeps them, but you can go online and order them from Walmart, Target, Amazon, all of the online outlets. You can buy them now. They used to be a little, when I first started eating them, they used to be a little more difficult to get. Now you have more, store vendors that carry them, and people are actually now buying them because they only use olive oil, Himalayan salt, and coca, either almond or coconut flour.
Well, look, Dr. Felecia, don't get my hopes up because somebody told me they were like, you could get the plant-based cheese that tastes just like regular cheese or the soy cheese. That does not taste like cheese. I was so excited.
It's
So I bought like 4 different kinds of cheese from what do you call it, from Whole Foods, and not one of them
right.
tastes like cheese.
The texture of them, I don't like. The closest that I found that tastes pretty good, but you'll have to, if you can find it already pre-made, but the best way to eat it is to make it yourself. It's cashews, so you can soak your cashews, for a couple of hours, and then put them in a blender, and you can put whatever spices you like. I usually use some of the Tabitha Brown sunshine spices, any other thing that you want to use, and it's unbelievable how much it tastes like cheese and
What?
the texture. Yes, now you have to soak them. You got to soak them a little bit. Soak them, and then you put them in a food grinder or a blender, and it'll come out with that same kind of creamy, cheesy texture.
Girl, one day we got to make cheese because I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
we need to
that
do a
stuff that stuff
cooking, cooking.
at Whole Foods had me almost in tears.
Yeah, wow. Um, and what's interesting is I wish I had known more than I know, than I know now back then when we decided to do the behavior um, process with my son with the attention deficit disorder, because we did a little bit with the food, but we didn't cut out nearly enough types of things that may have affected, his behavior. We just didn't know. So, he was eating, oh, yeah, Pop Tarts is on our list.
Yes,
I
it
already
is.
knew, yeah, Pop Tarts are on the list. But the kids, they like Pop Tarts. I mean, they like cereal. And we were thinking, okay, well, we won't do the Sugar Smacks or the Fruit Loops. I knew about the sugar in them. I didn't know about the red dye. But I said, okay, that's too much sugar. Maybe we'll do Cheerios. Cheerios is not much better.
So let me ask you something. When you're talking about this right here, do you go cold turkey, no red dye, or do you do like little substitutions? Like what is something that you can recommend since you went through this whole thing and this is ADHD Awareness Month, you know,
Right.
what if somebody were going to change one thing, the easiest thing, you know, the easiest thing for them to transition out of or towards for their child? I mean, is it making the smoothies first thing in the morning or is it
Well, if their child will drink a smoothie in lieu of something else, that would be great. Most 4-year-olds might not if they have not been conditioned to drink that as a normal part. But if they can look at the amount, not only the red dye, but even the sugar, because we have sugar in everything. So, finding a cereal, if your child likes cereal, find the best cereal you can with the least amount of ingredients, and there are
give me a
few
couple,
out there.
give me a couple of
Yeah,
those.
so yeah, if you can find something that doesn't have red dye, um, maybe start off by moving, if you're doing something more sugary like Fruit Loops or Fruity Pebbles, or again Sugar Smacks or something, move down to see if they will eat something like Cheerios. That's a step down, not perfect, but a step down in terms of cereal as you try to find better types of cereal that they can have. Some some parents may want to attempt to make their own cereal. I've done that before, where you can get all the ingredients you have and use honey, um, the grains, and if you combine it in a way, it's still going to taste sweet. It might not look like Fruit Loops or your other natural cereal. So I would suggest thinking about ways you can just first reduce the sugar. Try something like again Cheerios as you transition on. I would
About
get
like
rid of Pop
oatmeal and the
Tarts.
granola stuff.
Yeah, if they like oatmeal, oatmeal is good. And if you want to sweeten it up, either use honey, or if they like fruits, you can always put in their banana or blueberries or something that's going to sweeten it up a little bit, so you're not using white sugar. If you do want to use sugar, monk fruit is good, coconut sugar is good. All of those natural sugars are good because your body has a chance to process it, and it won't spike, of course, your insulin. So you do want to see what things you can, substitute out, but not all at one time. Pick one thing and say, oh, we're gonna, look at a better cereal in the morning, and that's adult or child, because we know as adults suffer from attention deficit disorder too. We don't always think about adults having to manage that, but they do. So if you can, pick one, I would say pick one thing and see if you can substitute it out, especially if they're eating Pop Tarts, um, you know, as quickly as you can get rid of the Pop Tarts.
So Felecia, let me ask you one thing because we're narrowing down on time.
Okay.
Once you took the red dye out or started to change the diet for your son, yourself, etc., what are some of the differences you saw? Well, you did the diet with your son, right?
I did.
What are some of the differences you saw in yourself?
Well, the biggest thing, again, was the sugar. And because I was looking at, I was looking at my blood pressure, I was looking at my glucose level, I was looking at everything. So immediately you're going to see um, those numbers go down, just because of again, the volume of sugar.
What's
Um,
what's what's immediately? A week, a month?
Immediately, I mean, over some months, you're going to see those numbers come down. So, if your blood pressure is up at 200,